So let's quickly see what the challenge is. We can't find the profit margin by dividing profit by sales for each row. While we can do the calculation manually, I don't want to do that. I want it to be a part of the pivot table. So we went to file, we selected options, and then in add-ins, we went to COM add-ins, the second one. And here we have an option called Power Pivot. So we have enabled it. Now, when we make a pivot table, insert and pivot table, you will have to select this option called add this data to the data model. And once you do that, you would notice that you get the same pivot table with a small difference. And the difference is that I can keep my sales and my profit here, and we will also keep our region. Nothing special, but notice this. In Power Pivot, there is an option called measure. And what I want to do is I want to create a new measure. A measure is a calculation that you do inside pivot tables. Remember, even though I'm doing this in Excel, this is not an Excel calculation. For example, when I create a new measure, I can call the new measure as profit margin. What is range? Range is nothing. Range is just the name of the data that you created a pivot table from. So we will say that sum of profit divided by the sum of sales amount. Remember, so the aggregation divided by the aggregation. Once I press OK, you will notice that. Do you see this? The calculations have happened inside the pivot table. And if you verify the numbers, 785, 1339, 1182, 1480, and 1236, same numbers have come here as well. All right. But here's the best part. Because this calculation of profit margin is inside the pivot table, what I can do now is I can remove my region and keep something else. For example, my subcategory. And you notice we don't have to rewrite any formulas. It all works automatically like this. Right? Now, let me give you one more example before you ask your questions. Now, this is showing me, right? I'm just going to copy this here. This is showing me the total sales for everybody. This is showing me the total sales for all the subcategories for all regions. So I'm just going to call this as all regions. But what if you want to see the sales for only the West region? Now you can't do that because you can only apply a filter to the entire pivot table. But I want to apply a filter to only a single column in the pivot, right? So let me show you how this works. We will again go back to Power Pivot and create a new measure. And this time I'll say sales for only the West region. And what will we say? We'll say that we want to calculate the sum of my sales amount. And what is the filter? The filter is that the region should be equal to West, like this. I know this seems very different and it's very new and it might seem a little complicated. And it is, okay? It's not a simple language. Learning DAX is fairly complicated. But at the same time, I hope you can understand what we are doing, even if you have never seen it earlier. We are finding the sum of sales, but taking a filter into account, right? And I can also check the formula. So it tells me the formula is correct, no errors. And now you notice, I can see the sales for only West and all the regions together. Don't you think that is very impressive? Think about it. Because now when I make a chart, right? So now when I make a chart, what will happen? I can compare one region, which is the orange one, against the total for the entire business. And remember, this would not have been possible if you had not used a measure, which means if I had put my region as a slicer, so if I keep a slicer region, what will happen? If I select West, then both of the columns are changing. Do you see this, everyone? 6939, 6939. This is for South, East, and Central. But what is remarkable here, the first column is showing me all the regions and the second is showing me only the West region without needing to apply any filters. And this is how you can do these interesting calculations. For example, let me just complete this example. I can now create another measure where I can say West as a percentage. This would be the first measure that I created, which is my sales only West divided by the sum of all my sales value. So what will happen? It will now show me that West divided by all region is 0.36, or basically 36%. So let me change it into a percentage. And you can see that very nicely it is telling me that West accessories is 36% of total sales, and overall West is contributing 31% on an average, right? Like for if I include all the subcategories together, then the total sales for West is 723,000, 2.29 million, and it is 31% like this. So I hope all of you can see the value in it. Any questions, anybody so far? Okay, great. Thanks, Ankita. Anyone else? See, don't worry about the calculations. A lot of people get, no, this cannot be done on a normal pivot. Priyam, you can only do calculations using Power Pivot. See, there are certain things that I can do. For example, I can do, please watch, right click, show values as percentage of column total. So it will tell me what is the contribution of each subcategory to the business. These are shortcuts. Basically, whenever you use these calculations, what is happening? At the back end, there is a DAX measure being written. But what happens is you don't see it. But when you use Power Pivot, everything opens up to you. You can write anything and everything that you want, right? Okay, DAX comes into use while using the measure function in Power Pivot. Absolutely. So Asini, so DAX is available only when you, DAX and a measure is the same thing, but the option for a measure only appears when you have Power Pivot enabled. Ankita, is show value as option in normal pivot? Absolutely. So everyone, when you make a normal pivot table, the show values option is always there. So some basic calculations are available, but this list is very limited. If you notice, I only have some totals, parent, difference, running, and rank. That's it. DAX, on the other hand, has over 200 different functions in it. Right? Okay, let's keep on doing a few more examples, and you will keep on understanding these things a little better. So the next example I want to show you is very interesting. I have a blank Excel file. And if you notice on my desktop, I have a folder which has, everybody, 2013, 2015, and 2013, 14, and 15. So basically we have the sales for 3 years in 3 different files. And what is the data? Very simple data. We have 1994 rows for 2013. Then we have 2103 rows for 2014 and similarly for 2015. Now, how do you combine all these 3 different Excel files? Of course, you will have to open each one and then do it manually. But you can do this using something called Power Query. So I have explained to you what is Power Pivot. Let us now see what is Power Query. Please watch. This is a blank Excel file, everybody. You click on data, and then you have an entire group called get and transform data, this one. Here I can select get data. And because I want to combine multiple files from a folder, I will click on get data from file and then from folder. I hope all of you can see this. The rest is simple. I can now select my folder path. So right in front of you, I'm going and selecting my sales folder. Remember, there are 3 files in that folder. So what is the first thing that Excel will do? It will confirm that, Havish, there are 3 files in that folder, 2013, 14, and 15. Let me click on combine and transform. The first option. Now, before it combines the 3 files, it will ask me which sheet do we want to combine. So right now we only have one sheet with us, which is sheet number 1. So I can select that, press OK. And you know what? That is it. If you notice, in a few clicks, I have managed to combine all the 3 workbooks together. Now, how do I prove it to you? You notice that Power Query has opened now automatically. So you notice I'm working on Excel, but Power Query is also open, which is a part of Excel. And if you notice the first column called source.name, this one tells me that I have 2013, 14, and 15. All the three are together. Amazing, right? How cool is that? Like this means that in a single click, you can combine 100, 200 files of different, even of different types if you want to, but usually you use the same type. You just keep all of them in a folder and it will combine everything for you. So let me close and load it and send it to my Excel file. So you notice we have 2013, 14, 15, correct? But let me show you something even better. If I go back to that folder and I select another year, 2016, and I put it in that folder, just watch. All I have to do is no manual opening of the file, copying and pasting. I can simply right click and refresh. And in a single click, 2016 will also get refreshed, right? Just watch. I have 2013 at the top. If I select 2013 and I make a change right in front of you, let's say I'm changing the first city to Delhi, okay, right in front of you. Look at the cell that I've highlighted. How do I refresh it? No manual work. Simply right click and refresh, and you notice instantaneously this will also become Delhi. That is how fast the tool is, right? It's blazing fast. I mean, it is so fast you cannot even imagine. This can work with 10 GB, 20 GB data sets, and it will all work instantaneously. But there is a problem. The problem is that I only have the customer ID, everyone. I do not have the customer name. Now, where is the customer name? My customer name is in a different file called ID and name, which is a completely separate file. And what do we have here? We have a list of all the customer IDs and all the names, right? So there is a question, how did I send the data from Power Query to Excel? See, once Power Query is open, just give me a moment. See, once Power Query is open, all you have to do is you click on close and load, and that's it. Just click on close and load, and the data will get sent from Power Query back to Excel, right? Okay, now what is our question? We have customer ID and name. The problem is that I only have the customer ID and I do not have the customer name, right? So Ankita, all I did was I showed you that when I added another file in that folder, all I had to do was I had to click on anywhere in the table, right click and refresh like this. For example, if I remove 2013 and I refresh it, you notice that 2013 is automatically removed. If I place 2013 once again, right click and refresh, and 2013 will come back. It is so fast that sometimes you will wonder, is it even doing anything, right? Now, most of you would say that why can't we simply use VLOOKUP? You know, we have our customer ID and we have our customer ID and name and we can use VLOOKUP. I agree with you. But don't you all feel that it's a manual job? Watch this. I will have to write equal to VLOOKUP. Then I'll have to select the customer ID. Then I'll have to go back to my other workbook. Then I'll have to select the two columns, put in the column number, select the type like this. And I want to avoid all of this work, okay? So please watch everyone. This is my second file called ID and name. What I want to do is, I will again go to data, get data, and this time we will only select the workbook. Last time we selected an entire folder. This time we only want to connect to a single Excel file. And what is our Excel file? So on my desktop in Superstore, we have the ID and name like this. When I connect to my Excel file, now this time you notice that there are two queries. My first query is the sales data. And the second query is the ID and name. Everyone like this. So Bhavesh, Power Query is available in Excel 2016, but with every version of Excel, the functionalities have increased. So if you want all the functionalities, then you need to work on Excel, Microsoft 365, right? But what I'm showing you right now, you can do all of this even on Excel 2016. Right? So everyone, what have we done? My first query is 2013, 14, 15, 16, and the second query is the ID and name. Let me click on close and load. And now you notice there are two tables, which is my sales data. So let me just call this table as sales. So I'll just call the table as sales, which is already there. And the second one is ID and name. Watch this. This is very cool. I'll click on Power Pivot and I'll add my table to something called a data model. This one. Just a single click. So my table has got added to the data model. I'll do the same thing with the sales data. So with the sales data, we'll click on data model and this gets added to the data model. Now you must be wondering, but why are we adding it to the data model? The reason is very simple. We want to create a database. That means that multiple tables can connect and talk to each other without using a VLOOKUP. So when I click on the diagram view, you will notice that it shows me both my tables. Remember, these tables are coming from different locations. Where is the sales data coming from? It is coming from this folder, which has 4 files in it. And where is the IDA name coming from? It is coming from a completely different file. So there are basically 5 files I have, 4 files here and 1 file here. All I have to do is I have to select my customer ID and select customer ID from the sales table. So what we have done is we have created a relationship, which is a one-to-many relationship. That means that on the left side, every customer ID has one name, obviously, because the customer ID is unique. And on the right side, every customer ID is mentioned numerous times because every customer has purchased multiple times. Priyam, it is not similar to Access. It is exactly the same as Access. The same model that is used in Microsoft Access is used in Power Pivot also. Now I can make a pivot table like this. And what will happen is something very cool. Please look on the right side, everyone. Do you see that I have 2 tables here, ID and name and sales? Amazing, right? This means that I can select my customer name from one table and I can select my sales value from the other table and it will give me the result. How cool is that? Remember, these 2 columns are not coming from the same file. They're actually coming from 5 different files. That means this 4624 is coming from 4 files from 2013, 14, 15, 16. And the name is coming from a completely different file. It is coming from ID and name. Now there's a small problem, which is that the name is coming as surname, comma, first name. So you notice Christine Abelman, Helen Abelman, and so on and so forth. How do I fix it? Very simple. We go back to data, get data. Everyone please watch. Data, get data, and we go back to Power Query Editor. And in the Power Query Editor, what I'll do is I'll select my query. And now I will be using machine learning. So I can select my name column and add a column and then say column from examples. So what happens now? It tells me enter some sample values to create a new column. This means I'm not going to write a formula to convert parse Darren into Darren Parr and Philina Ober and make Brown. All I have to do is I will simply write an example. So I'll say Darren parse and you notice Philina Ober. Do you see what is happening? It is automatically replacing the position of the first name and the last name. Very cool, right? So you notice that automatically first name and last name are getting interchanged. And now if I only want to get the initial of the last name, let's say Darren P, you notice it is giving me Darren P, Philina Ober, but there's some problem. Everyone, do you notice this? But if I make this Philina O, amazing, right? What have I done? I have basically taken the first name, which is Darren, and I've taken the initial of the last name, which is P. Philina O, Mick B. Could we have done the same thing using formulas on Excel? Of course, but it would have been so much more difficult because you would have needed to write find, left, right, mid, concatenate. You don't have to do any of that. You can just do this in a single click. Is a formula being created? Yes. If you notice at the top, everyone, this is the formula. Let me show it to you properly. This is the formula that has been written. This is the formula that is being written, but did we write it? Not at all. This formula was written by Power Query automatically. It is similar to Flashfill, Priyam, but what we have, column from examples, which is there on Power Query, is 100 times more powerful than Flashfill, right? And also, Flashfill, the challenge is that it doesn't tell you how it did it, and it is not dynamic. So when you do something on Flashfill and tomorrow 5 more records get added, you have to repeat Flashfill. But column from examples is a formula, which means that the formula is automatically applied to the new records as well. It is similar, but the basic one-line answer is that column from examples on Power Query is 100 times more powerful than what you get on FlashFill, right? So I'll just call this as my name. So I'll basically remove the first column. We don't need this anymore. We can call this the name, and I click on close and apply, close and load. So what will happen? You will notice that this has now become Darren P. Filina O. And when I refresh my pivot table, we get the result as we wanted. Amazing, right? And this is the beauty of combining Power Query and Power Pivot. Power Query is an ETL tool, right? Which allows you to connect to different types of files, different databases. You can connect to Microsoft Azure. You can even connect to the internet, right? Like this. And what is Power Pivot? Power Pivot is a database model which allows you to connect multiple files with each other. Power Query is a ETL tool. It allows you to extract, transform, and load data. But Power Pivot gives you the capability of combining multiple files using a model. There are a lot of areas where you would be confused because the same task can be done using both of them, either using Power Query or using Power Pivot. And that's the beauty of it. The more you learn, the better you understand which one to use in which instance, right? Okay. Now, so we've done Power Query and Power Pivot. Let me show you something else. Okay, please watch this. Sometimes you want to get data from a PDF, right? So I already have a PDF with me. So I'll show that to you. I have Apple's consolidated financial statement for 2019. This is available on their website, right? So Apple Inc., we have the quarter, the 3-month end and the 9-month end, right? As of June, okay? Now, assuming that I wanted to get some data, let's say this part, the current liabilities. Can I select it? Yes, because it is not a scanned document. So I can select it. But when I try to paste it, you notice it comes like this. And I'm sure all of you have faced this problem at some point in the past. The question is, what do you do about it? Now, unfortunately, there is nothing you can do about it. If the data gets pasted like this, text to column formulas will not help you, all right? Watch this. I will click on data, get data from file, and we have an option called from PDF. So we are importing the data from a PDF document. And all we have to do now is I'll just select my location. I will select my statement and watch how cool this is. It will actually show me all the tables that are available on that PDF like this. So I can just scroll through. Remember, we wanted this one, which said current liabilities, which is table number, where is it? Accounts payable, this one. So we have table 005. Is it 100% correct? Not really. I don't have the headings. There are some additional columns. So I can just click on transform data. And all we have to do is now to clean it up a little bit, right? So we want to do data transformations. I'll call this my head. We don't need this column, so we can remove it. We don't need this column, so we can remove it. I'm just giving it a random heading. So I'll just call it my 3-month, and I'll call this my 9-month, right? So everything is working properly. Just click on close and load, and that's it. Your data has now come on Excel, right? Beautifully formatted. Now, will this work with every data set? I can't guarantee that. It depends on what type of PDF is it. The same company sometimes keeps on changing the way a PDF is saved, right? See, a PDF is a very complicated document. It looks very simple, but there are a lot of elements behind the scene. So there is no guarantee of whether it will work or not. But I mean, you know what? At least with a little bit of data cleaning, you can get very close to the result. If you ask me, is it 100% going to do my job for me? Maybe not, but maybe it will do 80% or 50% or 40%, whatever it is. The same concept you can also use for getting data from the internet. For example, let's say you have moneycontrol.com and I want to get the latest price. All I have to do is I have to copy the URL. We go back to Excel, we say data, get data from web. right? All of this is happening on Power Query. And here I can simply paste the URL that I wanted. And again, you notice that what is happening is that it is basically going to that website and telling you how many tables are there on the website. So let me just explain how this works. See, whenever there's a web page at the back end, what is it? It is all JavaScript and HTML, correct? So you have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. For example, if I have a table like this, how do I note what the HTML code is? I can simply right click and click on inspect, and it will tell me that this is the part where the values are there. Do you see all this, everyone? This is what data scraping is, right? When you're working on Python or R, this is what you have to do. You'll just have to give me a moment because I will have to connect to my charger since I moved to a different room. Just wait. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ask. All right, so I hope the connection doesn't break. Anyway, so this is how you scrape data, and I can just select my table now, and you notice very neatly, it is giving me all the information. But you know the best part? Let me just remove what I don't require. Okay, so I don't, whatever, let's just call this the index, right? This is my close value. This is my change. And we don't need to show the percentage change, so I can just remove it. Close and load, and the data will come on Excel like this without any manual copy and paste. And the best part is that if you right click and refresh, then Excel will automatically go to the website. Like let's say today the market is closed. Tomorrow morning when the market reopens, all you will have to do is to simply right click and refresh, and it will automatically refresh the data for you. What is even better is that if you go to table properties, so if you go to query and properties, you can even set an auto refresh. So I can say refresh every 1 minute, and that's it. Automatically every minute, the table will get refreshed from the website. Again, the question is, does this work with every single website? Of course not. Like if the website is protected, let's say it's Bloomberg Terminal, they might not have given you access to do all of this, right? But at the same time, if it's any open website like Money Control, Wikipedia, government websites, you know, wherever it is public information, freely available, this will work, right? Any questions on this, anyone? All right, great. So let's do something a little more fun. I've given you a lot of technical know-how. Let me close all of these things. Let me show you how we can create a simple chart. But I show you something that probably you guys would not have seen earlier. All right, you might have, but I have a feeling you might not have seen this earlier. So we'll take a very simple example. We have, okay, this is not the right one. Let me see if I can find the correct file. Hold on. Yes, this seems to be the correct one. All right. Let's look at this one. Let's first understand what is happening. Okay, please watch. I have 17 products that I'm selling. So there are 17 subcategories: bookcases, chairs, furnishing, tables, so on and so forth. If you notice, the data is not even sorted, right? It's in a different order, not alphabetical, not sorted. Why are these 5 columns highlighted? Because these are the top 5. So you notice I can just choose any top number. If I say 2, it will highlight the top 2. If I say 5, it will show me the top 5. If I say 10, it will show me the top 7. Very cool, right? Now, a lot of people say that, oh, but this is not possible on Excel. You can only do this on Power BI and Tableau. But I want to show you that this can be done on Excel. And we'll do it from scratch so that you understand the basic logic. If you understand this one, then you can use the same logic to create a lot of similar charts. So what I want to do is I first want to find out the top n, which means that I will say that equal to if the rank, okay, if the rank of this number with the entire list, okay, is less than equal to the value that I've selected here, then what should happen? It should show me the number. Otherwise, it should show me a blank. So what are we saying? Just a moment. There seems to be some problem. So we're saying if the rank, this is okay. Oh, I should not have closed this parentheses. Okay, I'm getting some error as well. This happens when you work with Power Query and Power Pivot. No problem. Let me just show you this example and then we'll continue. Let's see what is happening. So what we're saying is that if and it should work now. Excellent. Just see this. What we are saying is that if the number 1580 is less than or equal to the top 7 ranks, that means it is the largest number or the second or the third or the fourth largest, then what should we do? We should basically show the value, otherwise show a blank. Why is the number not coming? Because it is not in the top 7. If I say 17, then it will come as the number. Okay? And if you can give me a moment, everyone, I'll just quickly close my Excel application so that I can restart it. Just give me a moment. Okay, let me see if Excel is open somewhere. Everything seems to be okay. Let's give it another shot. Let's open charts. Let me see how I can remove the error. Just give me a moment. So if we end Excel, what? Yeah, something is running here. Just a moment. This one. You know, that's the thing when you work with Power Query and Power Pivot. Power Query and Power Pivot are basically database fundamentals, right? These are things that IT guys have to use. When you start working with all of this, then you have to think like an IT person and act like one. Then these errors and IT issues will also keep on cropping up all the time. Anyway, so I had already written the formula. I hope this is clear, everyone. This is very simple. All I'm saying is if the value is in the top 5, then show me the value. Otherwise, show me a blank value. All right. And what will happen now is, by the way, we are not completed with the example. There is something still left. Now I select all the 3 columns and make a chart, right? So let me just go to my chart design and select my basic chart. So what is happening? You would notice that the top 5 categories have a second column. And why the columns not there for the other 13? Because other 12, because they are there, you just can't see them. So now you can click and you can change the series overlap to 100%. So what will happen? Even though there is a blue bar behind the orange one, you can't see it. So when somebody looks at this report, what will they think? That you're highlighting it. Like if I say top 3, it will only highlight the top 3. If I say 6, it will highlight it. Even though you and I both know that we are actually making a layer. So the blue bar is behind, that's why you can't see it. And then how do you hide these calculations? Simply right click, go to format cells, and you can go to custom, and then in the type, just put 3 semicolon. Okay, 1, 2, 3 semicolons. And once you do that, these numbers will be hidden from the user. This is a good practice because you don't want to confuse the user by showing them the numbers. This is how you will present it, right? Okay. So I've given you a good example on chart. And remember, the same logic can be used for lots of other things. For example, if you want to create a reference line like this, watch this. Like I can just put a number and the same line is coming here. If my sales value changes, you notice that my average line is also changing automatically. Fundamentally, we're using the same logic. We're making multiple columns and each column is having a different element on the chart. Okay. Some things are more complicated, like creating a waffle chart. Just see how nice this is. If I make it 100, it shows me 100%. If I make it 80, it shows me 80. But if I make it 45, it shows me 45. 20 shows me only 20. 5 shows me only 5. And how is all of this working? I hope all of you can guess this. This is nothing but conditional formatting, right? So I've written 3 formulas here in conditional formatting. Not too difficult, not too simple. I would say it's an intermediate level formula. So the reason I wanted to show this to you is to tell you that even in Excel, like look at this one. I don't have time to cover this today, but you can actually make things like these. And would you believe it that this is not programming? What I'm showing you right now, this is not using Visual Basic. This is simply a normal chart with formulas that I've created, right? So a lot of people say, oh, but this is programming. This is not programming. You can do this entire thing without programming. And what else can I show you? Then you can have these layered charts, which is a bullet chart. Then you can have some 3D maps. Then you have these interesting ones. You have these sunburst and tree maps, right? Radar charts. Then you have surface and contour. So basically the idea of showing all of this to you is to tell you that don't underestimate Excel. Excel is very good at charts. Of course, it can't compete with other tools, but it can hold its own ground, right? Bhavesh, I can't share the file because this is a part of my paid course. So, I mean, this file I would not be able to share, but the file is available if you purchase the course. Right? Okay, what else can I show you? If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'll be happy to answer those. Let me show you what I do on Excel. Okay, watch this. If you have Microsoft 365 with you, some of you might, then there is a button called Ideas. Do you see this on the top right corner? Remember, this is not available on Excel 2013, 16, or 19. It is only available on Microsoft 365. And what will happen is that if I simply select my data, no pivot, no formula, no filter, nothing. If you just select the data and you click on Ideas, you would notice that you're now using Microsoft Cognitive Services, which is Microsoft AI, and your data is being analyzed by Microsoft on the cloud using their server and their processing. And it will now show me different types of insights from the data, right? Just see how it works. So it's taking a little bit of time because of my connection. Okay, sorry about that. So, when you have the ideas tab with you, all you have to do is to click on ideas. And what will happen is that the entire data set will be analyzed by Microsoft. And once the analysis is done, you can ask your questions in natural language. So we just wait for a moment. If it doesn't work, then I'll work with a smaller data set. So meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll just select maybe 1,000 rows. I'll really have to do something about my internet connection. Okay, let's see. All right, so it's working now. And as you can see, it is basically giving me different insights, right? So I can ask it whatever I want to ask. For example, I can say, who are, please watch this, who are my top 5? Okay, the other one also worked. So let's work with the larger data set. I can say who are my top 5 customers in the West
Visible.
region in the year 2014, right?
Hello?
Oh, my screen is not
Your
visible.
screen is, yes.
No problem. Thank you for letting me know. Can you see it now? So everyone
Yes,
can.
sir.
All right. So if you notice, all I did was I am asking a question like this: who are my top 5 customers in the West region in the year 2014? And that's it. It will now give you the result. How cool is that? It tells you who the top 5 customers are. Let me ask something else. I can say, show me my profit for every year and every quarter. Okay. You ask a question and you notice it is giving you the profit for every year and every quarter. If you say, show me my profit and sales, then obviously it now shows you the profit and sales for every year and every quarter. How cool is that? And if you want to say only for the, or let's say for Texas, okay? So it is going to change your answer and it is going to show you the profit and sales only for the region of Texas. See, this is going to take over in another year, year and a half. We will not need to teach people how to make a pivot table and how to do calculations because AI is strong enough and robust enough and we can be confident to be able to derive these natural language insights, right? Now, Excel just completed 35 years, by the way, last month on the 30th of September. But the point is that how we have been using it for so many years, that has fundamentally changed now. Once ideas becomes popular and it becomes a little more powerful, you would notice that you don't need to do anything manually because everything is just a single query. For example, let's say I want to look at something different. I want to say, show me my segment profit for um, anything. Let's say for Darren Pass, okay? And as you can see, Darren Pass is only there in the consumer segment and 236. Even at a individual level or at a aggregate level, it is able to understand your question and give you the result. Yes, Google Sheet has been able to do this for a longer time than Microsoft, but Microsoft is much, much, much more powerful than Google. And I'll tell you the reason for that. The reason Microsoft is much more powerful is because Microsoft is spending more time and effort and money building these features. Think about it. For Microsoft, this is a business. This is a part of their business. Google Sheet is just a very, very tiny portion of Google's business, right? Excel, on the other hand, is a very important part. And Excel is also integrated with Power BI. So obviously, Microsoft is going to spend more time and effort and energy and money focusing on building these capabilities compared to Google. For example, Google has Translate, everybody knows that. But what if I show you that you have, okay, please watch this, everyone. I'm writing, hello, how are you doing today? Okay, I want everybody to look at this. Hello, how are you doing today? I'm just going to copy this on Google right in front of you and show you what the result looks like. So if I go to Translate and oh, it's going to take a little bit of time to open. Wait. I think this might just work. All right. So if I say, hello, how are you doing today? Hello, how are you doing today? And if I convert this into Hindi, do you see this? It says, Namaste, aaj aap kaise hain? If I do the same thing on Word using Microsoft's engine, so if I right click and I say translate, and I translate into Hindi, it says, Namaskar, tum aaj kaise kar rahe ho? Now again, it is also a matter of choice and your individual taste as to which one do you like better. But believe me, if you try out different sentences, you will notice that Microsoft in a very short span of time has really become very powerful. And you can try anything that you want. Let me show you one more. Video provides a powerful way to help you prove your point. Okay, just watch this. If I do the same thing on Google, it will say वीडियो आपको अपनी बात साबित करने में मदद करने के लिए एक शक्तिशाली तरीका प्रदान करता है. Right? Let me do the same thing on Word. Right? Do you see this? वीडियो आपको अपनी बात साबित करने में मदद करने के लिए एक शक्तिशाली तरीका प्रदान करता है. Do you notice this? Exactly the same answer. Now you might say, but Havish, if this is the same answer, then what's the big deal? Why would a person use Word? A person will use Word because your work happens on Word. For every small thing, will you go to Google Translate and copy and paste it and come back? Of course not. Now imagine a feature like this. You have dictate now. So if you click on dictate, once you click on the dictate button, all you have to do is to speak to the system in a natural language at a natural pace without any special changes in your style of speaking, and it will automatically convert your text to speech in real time. Now, there used to be companies, in the past that used to do all of this work, which is called transcribing or transcripting. And now in one click, I can just click on dictate. If I want to convert it, I can just say right click, translate, and it will translate for me. Just imagine how cool is that. Right? So that's the future. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about Excel right now, about Word right now. We want to focus on Excel, but the point is that there are lots of new things that are coming in Excel, and you guys have to keep on studying. I don't like the fact that people are still learning pivots and VLOOKUP and all when there are hundreds of other things that have come in. For example, now you have something called, please watch this, Tata Motors. I'm going to convert this into a stock. All right. Let me select the national, let's say the New York Stock Exchange, and I can simply say my start and my end date. So my start date is the 1st of January 2019, and this is the 1st of September 2020. And all I can do is I can simply now write stock history. Oh, actually, I don't have that feature with me. Hold on, no problem. Let me show you what I can show you. So I can just see the change of the stock directly within Excel. I mean, I don't even need to go to a website and do all of this work. Similarly, anything else that you have, let's say you have India, you can just convert this into geography. And now you can simply say, equal to dot population, and it gives you the population. Or you say dot GDP, and it will give you the GDP, right? $3.2 trillion. And like this, many more stock types, data types will be added in the future, which will make it even more powerful, right? So I haven't even got started. I mean, there are so many things that I could have shown you. Like now there is a forecast sheet on Excel. What it does is in a single click, please watch, it creates a forecast for me, right? And this is very detailed. If you notice, if you look at the forecast that it is creating, just look at the number of options you have. You can set your confidence interval. You can include your forecast statistics. Just a single click, and just notice you're getting your alpha, beta, gamma values, right? You're getting your residuals. Everything is coming, right? Absolutely brilliant. Now, earlier people would have to learn and write these formulas and then copy and paste them. But now you don't have to do any of that. Slowly, what will happen is that these AI features will become so powerful that anything and everything that you want to do, you would be able to do in a few clicks without having to do any manual work. Great. If you want to look at some more examples of what Excel can do and what are the new features, if you haven't had the chance of going to my channel, please do so. I have 310 videos on Excel, PowerPoint, Python, Tableau, and Power BI. And I'll just share that with you. Right. So the cost of purchasing Microsoft 365 is 420 rupees per month. It's a subscription. So you can't purchase it. You can only subscribe to it. 420 rupees per month or 4,200 per year is the cost for Microsoft 365. Excel 2019 is not the latest version, Bhavish. It is Microsoft 365. Excel 2019 is the older one. It will not have all these features. Priyam, how would you want to learn all these things? I mean, you just have to start somewhere. Like, for example, I have an entire master bundle on Excel, which has everything, right? So I have, this is about 18 hours of lectures, which include, and by the way, I've done the same examples today, what is there in the course as well. So I have data cleaning, VLOOKUP, pivot table, charts, date functions, Power Query, Visual Basic, financial formulas, and dynamic arrays. Dynamic, I did not get a chance to show you. Let me just give you one small example so that we complete the session. Dynamic arrays basically says that, it's very interesting, please watch. Like if I have written something, I've written some names, okay? Please watch this, everyone. How do I put in the serial number? I can do this automatically. I can say equal to sequence. How many rows do I want? I want the number of rows which is there in column B. So what will happen? It will automatically make the serial number. Do you see this? As in when I write more names, the serial numbers are automatically coming. Very cool, right? This is what dynamic arrays are, right? Like if you have some names and you want to find a list of unique values, like these are being repeated, obviously, you can just say equal to unique and it will automatically give you a list of unique values like this. Right? And now if you want to count, you can simply say equal to count of E2 hash, and it will tell you how many unique names are there. For example, if I add one more name here, this becomes 6 and this result also changes to 6. Right? It's a very powerful concept. It was only introduced 1 year back. And this is one of the biggest changes that has happened to Excel, which is that Excel can now handle dynamic arrays, which basically means that if I have 3 numbers and I am multiplying it by only one number, I don't have to write 3 formulas. I can just write one formula. So I can multiply B3 colon B5 into D3 and it will give me 3 results. Do you see this, everyone? This is the power of dynamic arrays. It helps you save a lot of time. Great. Good. So guys, I have a hard stop at 6:10 because I have a few client calls after this. Let me just answer the final questions that you asked. Please share the link. Yeah, so you just have to Google Microsoft 365 and you'll find it. Microsoft 365. And you can purchase it directly from the website. No rocket science here. How to learn, what was the other question? Let me check. How to learn VBA. See, I do have a 2-hour course on VBA, but in all honesty, it's not a very advanced course. It is just for beginners, for somebody who has never worked with programming earlier. That is why I have created this VBA course, to just get you familiar with what VBA is. But by no means is it a detailed course. VBA is a very vast topic and you can do some wonderful things with VBA. For example, like I've created my own VBA codes to make my life a little simpler. For example, very simple thing, okay? Let's say I have many sheets with me, and if I want to create a list of all these sheets, I can just click on navigation and I can select table of content. Remember, this is not an Excel feature. This is something that I have created, Havisham Consulting, navigation and table of content. And what will happen? In one click, you will get a table of content like this. Very cool, right? And like this, I've created lots of different things, right? Like this. For example, if you want to save this as a PDF, you can just select the data, navigation, save as PDF, and no manual work. It will save the data as a PDF. Otherwise, you will have to copy it, put it on Word, then you will have to save it. You don't have to do any of that, right? Like I also have something called appearance. So I can just control the way my Excel file appears. Like I can hide the ribbon, I can hide my sheet tabs, I can hide my status bar, scroll bar, grid line, heading, and formula bar. Basically, now my Excel file is going to look like a PowerPoint slide, doesn't it? See, there's nothing. There is no sheet, there is no scroll bar, there is no grid line, there is no ribbon. This is almost like a slideshow, isn't it? And all these things are not possible using Excel commands. Like basically you will have to use Visual Basic for all of this. Okay. Let me just bring everything back. Great. Excellent. So that would be all from my side. If you have any further questions, I'm available and I'm prompt on LinkedIn. So please feel free to reach out for any queries that you have. Okay? And definitely look at the YouTube channel. I'm sure you'll find a lot that you like. Okay? Excellent. Thanks everyone for joining in. And how do you make a dashboard in Excel that looks like Tableau Power BI? Vigneshwar, you can't. I mean, I've spent many years making dashboards on Excel, and let me tell you, it makes absolutely zero sense for you to even attempt to do that because it will take you 10 times more time and the result will be only 1/10 of the quality. So I really recommend you to use Power BI for it. And there is no point in using Excel, no? When Power BI is a free software, why would you want to work on Excel? Are you getting any extra points for working on Excel? Absolutely not. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. And be in touch. So we'll be connected on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, do let me know. Bye-bye.